大家好，我是 Music Soul。
That the divine matrix is a bridge between our inner and our outer worlds. It's the conduit that allows our prayers and our good wishes for one another to move from our hearts into this field and be disseminated and distributed in the field. We are part of everything, that we are part of a greater existence, that everything is connected. What does it mean to our time together in this world? If this field is really out there, can we communicate with it? And if we can, what is the language that it understands? Well, the understandings in terms of Western science that this intelligent field exists in late 1990s, early 2000s is when the experiments actually confirmed what Max Planck in 1944 stated. The father of quantum physics, Max Planck, actually said that the matter that we see in our world doesn't exist. It says the stuff we're made out of doesn't even exist, and the world that we see doesn't exist the way we believe it does. What he said was what we see as matter is here because of the existence of what he called a conscious and intelligent mind. And these are his precise words. Underlying this mind is the matrix of all matter. And this is the coin he termed in 1944. Of course, the movie series was based on the studies that came afterward, but it's actually been around since the mid-20th century. So this field, the matrix, or the divine matrix as it now is being called, is recognized as the field of intelligent, non-conventional energy. It doesn't work the way electricity and perhaps that's one of the reasons it's taken so long for science to catch up with the fact that this was there, because our equipment isn't built to detect this kind of energy. Our science has been based in the belief that everything is separate from everything else. What happens in one place doesn't have any effect on anything else. And that what happens in this lifetime has nothing to do with any other lifetimes. And when we leave our bodies, there's nothing for our souls to travel into. So this is the first principle where they got it wrong. And the second was that science, Western science, has believed firmly that the experiences that we have inside of our bodies, our thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, our prayers, our affirmations, in here have no effect on the world beyond our bodies. And now we know that these two assumptions are flat wrong. And we do have the ability through our hearts, what is called coherent heart-based emotion, to create the fields in our bodies, the fields of our beliefs, of our thought, feelings, and emotions that extend beyond our bodies into the divine matrix. So when people ask, what is the divine matrix? The way to answer that, it is the container for the entire universe. As far as scientists understand right now, everything that happens in this universe and in the higher dimensions of this universe are all within the context of this field, number one. Number two, that the divine matrix is a bridge between our inner and our outer worlds. It's the conduit that allows our prayers and our good wishes for one another to move from our hearts into this field and be disseminated and distributed in the field in ways that appear to defy the laws of physics. And number three, this field appears to be a mirror in that the quantum soup that exists as this field will mirror back to us. It's like a large projection screen that's everywhere all the time. It will mirror back to us what we claim to be true in our heartfelt beliefs, not what we speak as our truth. Rather, what we truly feel is the reality of the way our lives work, our relationships, the way our worlds work. What we hold in our hearts is our truth. This field will mirror it back, and where this gets really interesting is sometimes those truths that we hold are unconscious truths, and we're not even aware of what it is that we truly believe. We know what we like to think we believe, but what we truly believe in our hearts sometimes is masked even to us. Mirrors in this divine matrix showing us our true beliefs, what we claim to be true of ourselves and the world, our limits and our capabilities. This field, the divine matrix, of the many ways that scientists now describe the field and what makes it so significant in our lives is the fact that number one, through this field, all matter appears to be connected. And the word that science is using for this connection now is called entanglement. What entanglement suggests is that when something happens in one place in this field, in the divine matrix, it can be in another room next to us, it can be halfway around the world, that the effects of that something can be felt almost everywhere simultaneously. describe what I mean by that a little bit. There was a very famous experiment that was done in 1997. What scientists did at the University of Geneva was they took a particle of the stuff our world is made of, particle of light, and they wanted two identical particles. So they took this one photon and they broke it into two, so both pieces had the same properties. They had a specialized device where they could fire these in opposite directions at the same time, 7 miles for one particle in one direction, 7 miles in the other direction. When they reach their destinations, they're now 14 miles apart. And once those particles are at their destination, they can begin the experiments. And what they found was whatever they would do to one particle, in a moment in time, the other one acted like it just had the experience faster than it could have if this one were transmitting the information to the other one. Sometimes this one would act like it was having the experience before this one even finished its experience. But whatever they were doing over here, this particle always had the identical experience, as if they were still connected even though they were physically separate. And the reason this experiment is so important is it is now demonstrating to the scientific mind what the ancient indigenous traditions have always said, and that is once matter is physically connected, even though it may become separate and distant from where it was originally, it's always linked energetically. Always linked energetically, and here's why that's important. Because we live in a universe many light years in diameter, and we're made of particles that were once all converged into a single unit, a matter of fractions of a second after what's called the Big Bang, what scientists believe is the beginning of our universe. Particles of matter, and this is where we were at one time. The particles of your body and our listeners and my body, we were once part of all the stars, and we were once part of this Big Bang. And if we were once connected, even though we are now physically separate, the experiments suggest that the energy connecting us remains. And this is why our prayers, people ask me all the time, they say, if I am praying for my loved one in the battlefield of Iraq halfway around the world, I can make a really good prayer, but how do I get the prayer over there? I mean, it's got to go a long ways. How do I get my prayer from here to there? In the two particles that were separated by 14 miles, when one of them had its experience and the other one acted like it had its experience, scientists say, how did the information get from one to another? The answer is it doesn't have to, because it's already there. The information doesn't have to travel because it's already everywhere all the time. Our prayers, when we create them in our hearts for our loved ones, are already with them on that battlefield halfway around the world. When we speak to our loved ones who have passed over into another world, what we're actually doing is we are speaking to the essence, their energetic essence, that is now within the layers or the higher dimensions of this divine matrix. Is that if you change the field of energy that the atom lives in, you change the atom. You can change that field electrically, or you can change it magnetically. Our hearts are the strongest bioelectrical and magnetic field generators in our bodies. Our hearts generate stronger electrical fields than our brains. They generate stronger magnetic fields than our brains. Our hearts are 5,000 times as powerful magnetically than our brains. And we hear about EKGs of our hearts. They're up to 100 times stronger than the EEG, the electrical information in our brains. So when we create thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, compassion, prayers of forgiveness in our hearts, that's the words that we call those experiences. But to the field, what we're doing is we're creating electrical and magnetic waves in here that are now known to change the stuff out here. And in that way, we are linked. Again, for me, the bottom line is they suggest that we are living in a universe and in a world that we're part of rather than separate from. And as part of our world, we are empowered to participate in our healing and in our abundance and in our peace. And I believe that that may be what this life is all about. Recognizing that there's a power within us that allows us to transcend the great suffering and achieve the greatest joys that we could ever want to experience. What that means to me in terms of everyday life is looking at the world around me through new eyes and recognizing that this world is nothing more, nothing less than a mirror of what we claim to be true in our hearts. And if we choose to live in a new world rather than trying to hammer it into submission externally, we can choose in our hearts to feel and believe heart-based emotion. They aren't just thoughts or wishes. Feeling as if our bodies are already healed, feeling as if peace has already happened in our lives, and giving thanks of appreciation and gratitude for whatever time we have together in this world. Because real or simulated, we don't really know how long it lasts or how long we're here. So from my perspective, every day I do my very best and I ask myself the question, what can I do today to leave every place that I visit a better place than it was than when I got there? To be fully present with everyone that comes into our lives and crosses our paths, and where we choose to travel and share our energy, leave that place a better place than it was when we left.
谢谢你看到我，我们下次见。